Once again, good evening. Thank you for being here. I'd like to call this meeting to order. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even take roll call. Getting a little ahead of myself. Ready to adjourn? No. Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Sure. Trustee Dattis.
Here.
Trustee Darrow.
Here.
Trustee Jacko.
Here.
Trustee Velez.
Here.
Trustee Williams.
Here.
Vice President Benamini.
Here.
President Munoz.
Here.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of this board, except where specifically exempted by law, at which time any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having same advertised in the Belleville Times. Also, notice of this meeting has been mailed to the members of the Board of Education, the Borough Clerk, all elementary schools, the middle school, the high school, Hornblower Early Childhood Center, and posted on the district website. Also, this meeting is being televised via the district's YouTube and Facebook pages.
Thank you, Mr. Palladino. May I have a motion to accept the minutes for August 24?
Motion.
And may I have a 2nd?
I'll second it.
Is anyone opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, sorry. Get a little set up over here. Okay. Excuse me. We're going to hear from our student government representative, Ms. Rayanne.
Good evening. So regarding old news, after the orientation on the 31st, where the freshmen had the chance to tour BHS and get introduced to many clubs they may catch their interests, the students of Belleville High School have started the school year with profound excitement, featuring the prep rally run by SGO last Friday, introducing the fall and winter sports, which each member of the tennis, volleyball, cheer, football, marching band, and soccer teams were recognized for their great performances in representing our school. It was a successful prep rally, with the true spirit of the event being our favorite mascot, Bucky. The senior class has just wrapped up their very first fundraiser of the school year, selling chocolate boxes, and have an upcoming Krispy Kreme fundraiser, as well as a car wash on the 23rd from 9 to 11 a.m., and a senior sunrise on Friday, September 29th at 6:30, which is open for all seniors. Excitement for the students arises as the homecoming dance approaches on the 27th, followed by the homecoming game on the 29th of September. All are welcome to support and cheer our players. Thank you.
Thank you, Rayanne. Let me see. Okay, thank you, Rayanne. We're going to move on to items presented by the administration. Dr. Tomko.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and everyone watching at home. We're very excited to be back. We had an excellent opening to the school year, the 23-24 school year. I want to take this time to just thank our teams over the summer, our maintenance, custodians, bus drivers, our teachers, our administrators, secretaries, everyone who worked over the summer, not only just getting not only getting the buildings ready, but also working on some of the programs that we've had, our special needs population, and then assisting the municipality this year the best we could with some of their needs with regard to their camp and whatnot. We really kind of made it work. I also want to thank the board. The board worked very hard over the summer with a lot of things that we needed for a lot of the building projects that we were doing, a lot of the finances, different things with some updates to curriculum and some of the personnel moves that we made. Also, Mr. Palladino, I want to thank you for all your support over the summer. I think you get overlooked. Sometimes it's not a bad thing, but I think you get overlooked. And speaking of getting overlooked, Jeff Parapato is here, the IT department. We want to thank you and all of your workers there, your assistants for all the work over the last week and a half as well. I think it's very easy as a parent, as a community member, to kind of see one snapshot of something that's important to you, right? And basically think that that might be the only thing that's going on in a district, right? And I'm not saying that's a wrong thing to do as a parent, but with 5,000 students, there are a tremendous amount of moving parts here. So when there's transportation needs or registration hold-ups and whatnot, if we have a new person that's coming to town and decides that they're going to register their child at the end of August, well, that takes a while to get those individuals in with schedule. IT issues, like I have 4 kids myself. My one son is definitely guilty of this every year. He'll tell me the last week in August that his computer's broken and he needs it for school in a couple of days, right? So now, we had all summer to fix it, right? So I think these things happen, but again, what an incredible job, and all of our staff and all of our faculty, just incredible. We have some students we're going to recognize tonight, and one of our administrators. So I'm going to call Ms. Demikoff up in 1 second, so you could kind of make your way up here if you want, Ms. Demikoff. But before that, I just want to give an update on some of the projects that are happening in town, only because I know that the mayor and council discussed it a little bit at their last meeting, which I believe was last Tuesday. Am I right? Yeah. Okay. And I just want to reiterate that we are working on a lot of these projects. Unfortunately, the bids for our middle school campus parking garage, shared venture with the municipality, the bids came in way over what we could have imagined due to some elevation issues and concrete that was needed, special types of reinforcement because of the elevation issues. I think it's like a 13-foot elevation difference from one end of the property to the next. So these were some of the things that we weren't really expecting. So we're now at Plan B, which we had all along, which still has the same concept, but maybe a little attenuated version of that. And again, the whole idea is to have enough parking for our staff and our faculty there. In both buildings, we have 2 middle school buildings now. I'm sure most of you have heard of that, at least. If you don't have middle school students, you'll know that soon. We have the main building that's been there for a very long time, and then we have the annex, which is the old medical college that we acquired last year or 2 years ago now. On the bottom of that annex, there are numerous offices that allow us now to have more space in the buildings than ever before, which is great. And the whole concept here, as the board, in a very smart manner, purchased the property in the middle of that, is to put a parking complex where we can also share some of those spaces with the township, so they can open up parking at night for the community, whatever we need, and then during the daytime use those to, effectively manage the middle school campus. And in the middle of that, we're trying to put a field and a few other incredible campus ideas for our kids, and a bridge or a walking area that connects the 2 buildings. The elevation there, if you've never been down there, between the 2 properties is really an incredible thing. It's such I guess to the eye, it looks like everything's even, but from the middle school building to the new annex, I think I probably did that backwards facing you, but if you walk from the bottom of the middle school all the way over to the annex, you're actually on like the 3rd floor, believe it or not, when you walk. So the elevation is completely something that we weren't expecting. So we're very positive about the project. We are going out to bid soon enough. The board has looked at a concept that we've talked about since day one, a Plan B, and we think we're going to have some sketches and an official bid within the next month or so. So we're hoping that comes your way soon. And again, we appreciate all of your support. Again, just wanted to reiterate that. I don't want to steal any thunder from anyone about some of the other incredible events that we've had here over the past weekend or whatnot. But I will say one of our new events coming up now that I can kind of put it out there, the board is on its own now, having sort of a holiday bazaar, Winterland type thing, separate from the township that'll have their tree lighting ceremony. So this is more of an event where we're going to have vendors and shops and stuff like that, and we're going to have a whole scene out here later December. So we're going to ask the community stakeholders to get involved in putting this together. We want this to be an historic thing where it's a tradition every year here, and our kids are going to be building sets and stuff, so it's pretty incredible. So you're going to be hearing more about that. So we're very excited here to open up. We have new playgrounds and air conditioning in some of the areas that weren't. We're trying to get as much air as we possibly can in some of those other areas, and just great things happening. And your kids are great. The faculty is incredible, and our administration is second to none. So progress, and we're just moving forward. So without further ado, I will call Ms. Demikoff, who has a couple of incredible things to present tonight. So Ms. Demikoff.
Thank you, Dr. Tomko. And good evening, once again, Dr. Tomko, members of the Board of Education, and members of our Belleville community. I am very, very excited, delighted, happy to be here this evening to present this award to one of our outstanding administrators, who's actually now an administrator this year. Last year, she was one of our most devoted, hardworking history teachers here at Belleville High School. Before I call her down, I'd also like to invite her principal, Mr. Caleb Rhodes, to please come down also. And Emily Pascali, who is going to be the recipient of the award that I'm going to tell you about. So Emily is the winner of the Amistad Commission Exemplary Award for her unit plan and lesson plan submission, which she submitted back in the spring. Her lesson plan encompassed the African slave trade, slavery in America, the vestiges of slavery in our country, and the contributions of African Americans to our society. This initiative was sponsored by the Amistad Commission, which is a part of the New Jersey Department of Education. Staff members were given the opportunity to actually nominate themselves. It wasn't like another staff member or an administrator nominated a phenomenal teacher. The teacher had to put their best foot forward and nominate themselves. And Emily, lo and behold, was one of our winners. And I was so pleased when I attended the Amistad Summer Institute. I was surprised because I didn't know that this was coming. I just heard her name announced. It was absolutely amazing. And I was very, very happy to receive it for Emily. Ms. Pascali will receive an award of $2,500 for her extraordinary efforts that she put forth into her teaching about African American history, and Belleville High School will also be receiving a $2,500 stipend for the implementation of Amistad curriculum. Yes, phenomenal. Congratulations, Emily. She received a certificate from the New Jersey Department of Education, which reads, "The Amistad Commission Exemplary Award is presented in recognition of your outstanding commitment to the students of New Jersey and for your superior work in promoting the Amistad curriculum in New Jersey classrooms and beyond." So congratulations, Emily. You should be very proud. This is very well deserved. Congratulations, honey. You're welcome. And we also have a certificate for you. Thank you. Yes. We going to take a picture? Okay, moving on. I'd like to now call up one of our teachers from Belleville Middle School, Miss Omaima Omerer, one of our ELA teachers. Miss Omerer is going to help me present awards to winners from the Unsolved Mystery Writing Contest. Each student who entered this contest received their own writing prompt at their choice. The students were given the opportunity to choose their own mystery writing prompt. They had to finish a mystery story with no more than 100 words. Students wrote using their imagination, their perception, their creativity through the use of expression, originality, and of course, their use of language. We are so happy that all of our student winners are here to receive their awards. Please come down when you hear your name. Jordan Francis. Just a sec. Of course, it's the last one here. Jordan, here is your certificate. Congratulations, honey. Melanie Cardoza. Congratulations, Melanie. Next, we have Rachel Polk. Congratulations, Rachel. Josiane Ibrahim. Congratulations. Sarah Dusick. Congratulations, honey. And Juliana Ramirez. Congratulations, Juliana. Thank you. Congratulations to our students. Congratulations, Miss Omerer. Thank you so much for always researching and encouraging our students to enter these competitions. Great job. Thank you. Okay, we have, yes, they can return now. Okay, you stay here for Challenge 24. You might as well stay. Yes. Miss Omerer is going to stay. We have one more. We have one more student, so I'm going to invite her back up. Josiane Ibrahim also received an award for Talented and Gifted, a competition that took place last June. The competition was called Challenge 24, and that's a math competition. Congratulations, Josiane. Thank you so much. Congratulations to all our student winners and to Ms. Pascali.
Congratulations to all the winners. I'd like Mr. Palladino, please provide us a report from Mr. Egan.
Sure. Mr. Egan's watching via YouTube and the district's social media platforms. With the new year beginning, I wanted to let the public know that he's pleased with the continued progress that the board and the administration continues to make in working together to move the district forward. And then lastly, he's reviewed the agenda with the superintendent and myself, and he supports all recommendations that are being presented this evening by the superintendent and I related to personnel, finance, and purchasing.
Thank you, Mr. Palladino. Okay, we're moving on. If I'd like a motion to open remarks by citizens.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Session 1, okay. I, the board president, will call the individuals who wish to speak in the order that they appear in the sign-in roster. The individual called to be heard shall proceed with his or her comments as briefly as the subject permits, with a maximum of 3 minutes at the podium. All inquiries must be directed at the board president, Mr. Michael Sheldon.
Good evening, Michael Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street. As you're probably expecting, my first question regarding the agenda is from the bills list, and that is the resumption of the monthly lease payments for 335 Union Avenue. It was my understanding, following Oprah documents I obtained a couple months ago, that the state monitor, Mr. Egan, had terminated that lease, but I see in this month's bills list it looks like there's retroactive payments over $9,500. I assume that's June, July, and August. And there's another separate payment for almost $3,100. I assume that's September. So could you please give us an update on what's going on there? Has the board returned to using 335 Union? Are there staff in the building, or are you just paying the lease in order to avoid any much more expensive litigation? Agenda item 1212, you're appropriating $2,700 for crushed stone from Viola Brothers for the Washington Avenue parking lot. I assume that at least on a temporary basis, you're going to put a few tons of crushed stone on the former King's Window store lot before you figure out what you're going to do with that overall project. I'll have more to say about that during the second public session later this evening. The other agenda item that I wanted to bring to your attention, 1120. This is a perfunctory approval of use of facilities, but since I do take the time to read through these details, it does appear that you may have some incorrect dates. Now, if I can find my sheet. It looks like you, instead of having spring 2024 dates, you've got everything listed as 2023. Well, here we go. For example, if you look towards the bottom of your usage calendar, you have dates in March for the BHS theater dress rehearsal and performance, but you have the year as 23 instead of 24. So I assume that you're not, and also at the beginning of this, you've got dates here. It says like school number 3, facility classroom, 5/31/23. I assume you mean 5/31/24. So I think you may need to make some typographical corrections here to reflect that some of these events are taking place during the spring and not already in the previous academic year. And I got 20 seconds left, so I'll bring this up in the second session, but Dr. Tomko, earlier this summer, you said that you were expecting the new CUSAC scores to be released this month. Could you give us an update as to when you expect the latest CUSAC scores to be published? Thank you. 4 seconds left. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheldon, through the chair. CUSAC, I'm expecting any day now. I thought we would have it already, but I'm staying positive about that. But as soon as we find that out, we'll let everyone know. If there is a corrective action, we'd obviously have to approve that, but I'm not expecting any corrective action, so pretty positive. But as soon as we get that, I'll let you all know. Yeah, there were some corrections to some dates. Some of these were some late additions, and I missed them, so we did make a few changes already to some of the other stuff that we had, so I appreciate you pointing that out. Thank you. 1212, the crushed stone is going to be, since we are delayed with the project now, we're going to make that a temporary parking lot so that some of our teachers in the middle school and at the annex can park there. We're trying to get as many cars off the street as possible to help neighbors with parking, but also street cleaning and stuff like that. So yeah, we should hopefully have that within the next few weeks. With regard to the lease at 335, the 335 property, which is on Union Avenue, which is a lease, we have again regained entrance to that property. The correct approvals were given. We were assured by the building department that we could now occupy it. So it was kind of a moot point moving forward. Yes, one of the things is to try to avoid as much litigation as possible. So we did now return there with a few offices and some other accommodations there. And the parking is very important. We're putting some cars there as well for School 3. And I think that's really it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Liz Massaglia?
Dr. Liz Massaglia, 285 Adelaide Street. Okay, first I want to say, as a parent, congratulations on the successful opening of school. I know my son goes to the middle school, and at first he wasn't happy with the idea of the A and the B days and the block schedule, but he loves it. He's thrilled. It's working out very, very well, so he's a happy camper. And he's really pleased with how things are going, everything over there so far. We've already had the back-to-school night there, and I've met the teachers, and everything is really good. So I'm happy. Okay, I do have a question on just the section in general that is labeled Section 10.1. Resolutions on curriculum and instruction. It says approve the following new/revised curriculum. Okay, can you tell me or tell us what are the revisions to the current curriculum, or what new curricula are being considered for approval this evening before you vote on anything, so we know what areas, what grade levels? Does this have anything to do, when I talk to people in town, everybody's all up in arms about these new types of curriculum that they may or may not want their children to be involved in, and they're asking me, and when we see things that are all about curriculum and they want to know what it is, and, just can you clear this up for us? Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, hopefully the board will approve the revisions to the curriculum, and we'll make it public right after the meeting. But that's the American Sign Language. We have American Sign Language course now at the high school. I'm very excited about that here. I think it's an incredible language that all of our students hopefully one day will be able to discover. But we do have a program at the high school now as an approved language, so the board has worked very hard with our Director of Curriculum, Shanklin, and our high school team to kind of put this in front of you, so I think it's a great addition. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. May I have a motion to close public participation?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. You got Mike on the second. Okay. Is there anyone opposed? Thank you. Oh, all right, we're going to move on to personnel. Can I please have a motion on items 9.1 to 9.47?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion here? Hearing none, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Sure. Trustee Dattis.
Yes.
Trustee Darrow.
Yes.
Trustee Jacko.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Munoz.
Yes, thank you. We're going to move on to curriculum and instruction. And this is a motion on item 10.1, which we just spoke about. May I have a motion?
Motion.
And may I have, okay, thank you. Is there any discussion here? Hearing none, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Trustee Dattis.
Yes.
Trustee Darrow.
Yes.
Trustee Jacko.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Muniz.
Yes. We're going to move on to purchasing and business. Motion?
No board action.
Motion.
And second? I'm sorry, did I skip? I'm sorry, I missed board action and board policy, excuse me. Can I have a motion on 11.1 and 11.21?
Motion.
And a second, please.
Second.
Is there any discussion here? Hearing none, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Trustee Dattis.
Yes.
Trustee Darrow.
Yes.
Trustee Jacko.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Muniz.
Yes, thank you. We're going to move on to purchasing and business services. Can I have a motion on 12.1 to 12.60?
Motion.
In a second?
Second.
Okay, I do have some discussion. Mr. Palladino, would you be able to just bring a little bit of attention on item 1230, which is the grant that we were discussing earlier?
Yeah, sure. So a couple of years ago, the board had been awarded a grant for 2 electric buses, the infamous electric buses that everybody knows about. The company that I was working with to get those buses keeps extending the timeline to get the buses. So I reached out to another company that thinks they can get me the buses a little bit faster. So I'm working with the DEP and this new company, revise the grant, and hopefully get the buses a little bit sooner. In addition, the DEP is going to give me a little bit more money in the grant, and they'll reimburse me for the 2 charging stations that are down at School 9 that we paid out of pocket about 2-3 years ago. So we'll get money for those. That's it.
Thank you. Is there any other discussions on purchasing and business? Hearing
Yes.
none? Yeah, yes? No? Sorry.
Yes.
Hearing none? Okay, yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that I think that's amazing that we have an opportunity not only to receive a reimbursement for expenses already incurred, and I think possibly down the line, if the board were to review, maybe possibly looking into new ways to ascertain additional revenue, maybe we could open up that charging station and maybe we could, have like a certain deal or a certain charge we could have for residents to where, we're incurring, revenue for the school district. So I think it's very interesting. I think it's great that we're getting money back. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. President. Can you explain 12.9, please?
12.9. Joint Transportation Agreement with Garfield Board of Education. What is your question about it?
Can you explain how that will work?
So, I mean, we do this with other districts that we take on, that we transport our kids to their facilities. So this is just an agreement between them and us that we assume the responsibility for paying for their busing to that school. So if they go to a trade school, if they go to another school that they receive a service that we can't provide them here in our school district, then we bus those children to that school.
Do we know for how many children this is?
We would have to get the numbers on that. Right now, we're just focused on this specific one. But we do have several.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hear no more discussion?
Louis, just clarify that the agenda item 12.8 is tied into the 12. Point 30 with the buses and the new
12.8.
lease agreement.
So approve a 5-year lease purchase agreement with, for the 2024 bus passenger, that one? Is that the one you're speaking of? Passenger bus from New York City LLC, is that correct, Gabby? Mr. Palladino, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so that resolution is for the purchase of,
End of life, correct?
yeah, a brand-new 54-passenger bus due to end of life on one of our current 54-seaters.
And this is going to be purchased outright, correct?
No, that's a
Oh, this is a lease, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. And that's just the one bus, correct?
one bus.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll. Thank you.
Trustee Dattis.
Yes.
Trustee Darrow.
Yes.
Trustee Jacko.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Munoz.
Yes. We're going to move on to finance. Can I have a motion on 13.1 and 13.6?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion here? Hearing none, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Trustee Dattis.
Yes.
Trustee Darrow.
Yes.
Trustee Jacko.
This is where I say yes to all except check number 88952. I take no part in that.
Thank you.
Check, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Muniz.
Yes, thank you. This concludes our portion of this. We're going to move on to remarks by citizens. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Is there anyone opposed? All in favor? Okay. I will call the individuals who wish to speak in the order that they appear in the sign-in roster. The individual called to be heard shall proceed with his or her comments as briefly as the subject permits, with a maximum of 5 minutes at the podium. All inquiries must be directed at the board president, Mr. Joe Belnome, excuse me.
Name and address. Joe Belnome, 839 Main Street, Parmenay. Ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Education, I stand before you today as a candidate for the State Senate in this district and a firm advocate for parental rights, particularly in the context of supporting students who may be transitioning to another gender or using new pronouns. It is vital to recognize that parental rights extend to knowing when a student seeks to use new pronouns or is in the process of transitioning to another gender. Parents play a fundamental role in their children's lives, and they deserve to be informed and involved in these important matters. In addition to these parental rights, I also believe in the need to address concerns related to the inclusion of biological boys in girls' bathrooms, sports, and locker rooms. While we must respect the rights and dignity of all students, it is crucial to prioritize the privacy and safety of our children. We must find a balanced solution that respects the needs and concerns of all students. As we approach the upcoming election, I urge parents and community members to consider these values. If you believe, as I do, in upholding parental rights and ensuring a fair and safe educational environment for all students, I ask for your support. Together, we can create a system that respects parental involvement in the rights of all students. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Sheldon?
Good evening again, Michael Sheldon. Same address as 20 minutes ago. All right. I didn't know that this podium could be used for electioneering purposes, but I guess that's your call. First thing I want to mention tonight, just a little bit of a concern. Agenda item 1258 is an appropriation to the Meadowlands Environmental Center. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the board members, I believe, works for the Meadowlands Environmental Center. So I think that that person should have recused himself or herself from that vote in order to avoid a conflict of interest. So perhaps before this evening is out, either Mr. Bush can weigh in on the matter or that person can change the vote to an abstention. I don't like filing ethics complaints, but you know, I do expect everyone here to manifestly abide by the school ethics laws. I want to say a word or two about the parking garage. When the sales pitch for this was made last spring, it was discussed that this new garage, two-level garage, would have a upper level that would be contiguous with the existing asphalt paved parking lot so that you would extend the field. We would have actually a very large athletic field for recreational purposes for the children. And that's a wonderful idea. It would be great to have another, but you know, it looks like now that concept is going to be grossly scaled back. The shared services bond ordinance that was approved by the town council last April 12th was for $11.9 million, which when you include the cost of borrowing money, it's going to cost about $15 million over the 10-year repayment period. But putting that aside, of the $11.9 million, you've already spent $5 million of it to acquire the Eastern International College, leaving you with $6.9 million. Now, when you went out to bid for the parking garage initially a couple months ago, the lowest bid, as I recall, was $14.3 million. The highest bid was almost $23.5 million. And I have to wonder, I know there was some discussion here about concrete costs have gone up, and I checked around, yes, in the last year, concrete costs have gone up by about 10%. But right now, it looks like you are at least $7.5 million below where you need to be to build a no-frills garage. And it seemed like, too, at the last council meeting, Mr. Mellum was starting to play a little bit of hardball. He was asking his CFO and the town manager, where's the rest of that money? Is it with us, or have we already given it to the Board of Ed? And Mr. Iacono assured Mr. Mellum that the money remains tucked away with the town hall. So, you have to extract that from them. You don't have that money right now. You already have $5 million. I know for a fact, because I opened that, I know the $5 million was transferred last year, so you could complete the purchase of the Eastern International College building, which is now called the Middle School South Annex. But when you first came up with this parking garage concept, as excited as all of us were to realize this dream, I asked some of my construction friends, ballpark it, back of the envelope calculation, how much is a garage like this going to cost? And without exception, and I asked at least 3 different contractors, and they said that even if you made a simple garage with just a 2-level open air at the top without a roof, just one ground level, 2nd story open roof, you couldn't begin to build a garage like that for anything under $10 million. And when I discussed with them, the idea was to have not only a roof, but to have an extension of the existing upper field brought out to Washington Avenue. They just laughed and said, you're in fantasy land if you think you're going to build something like this for under $15 million. And 2 of the contractors said, easily $20 million. And that's what your last bids reflected. So I have to wonder now, if you're going to try to build this garage for what you have available, $6.9 million, how scaled back is this going to be? Is this going to just be a flat parking lot along Washington Avenue? Or are you going to be able to actually afford a 2-level garage? Now, you said a little while ago, Dr. Tomko, that you hope to go out to bid. I'd like to know when the revised plans may be available on BidBox, the firm that does this. If you have any idea tonight when those plans might be available, I'd like to see how you're going to revise the construction for this project. I see my time is up, so thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Mr. Sheldon. I think, we're not sure when the bids are going to go out yet. Right now, we finished the concept drawings. Again, the concept was in place because we did have a Plan B and we do have a Plan C as well, which I don't think we're going to need. Again, the biggest issue there was cutting back the retaining wall at the King's property now, which has to obviously be, at the original concept was to cut into that retaining wall, which is probably over 20 feet high, excavating a lot of that, and then if you saw the original plans, the tunnel area or the bridge area to get from one area, the parking garage, in and out, the type of concrete that would have been required there, not the concrete itself, but the reinforcement in the concrete was what was costing the extra money, and I don't think it was something that we were aware of at the time putting that together. So again, Plan B is to still have a multi-level type of garage with ramps, still running the span from High Street down to Washington Ave, somehow incorporating all that, 2 separate garage systems, so that the faculty vehicles and the employee vehicles don't need to get involved with the bottom area of the deck. And then there's still enough room for a field there. Actually, for some reason, this plan comes out, I think, with even more spaces than the original plan. Am I right in saying that? Mm-hmm. Because we're probably going to be parking on the ramps, which is a very common thing. So I think the first concept, we went out there, the board, we had a nice concept, we had a nice campus, we had a field on top of the second floor, we had a bridge going across. We went out for the entire thing, hoping that we can get it within that budget, and it was over. So now we're at Plan B. The money is with the bond is with the town, so we don't get the money until we ask for it. So they have the money, which should be earmarked for us, and that this is what we're using it for. So I don't have any issues with that. I know there was some checks and balances going on over at the municipality, but I think that had nothing to do with our end of it. I think it was more some of the municipal offices that the mayor was concerned with, because we weren't even really contacted. I gave a report the very last day. So again, we're doing everything like we said we would. We're going to provide parking regardless. At the end of the day, there's parking that's needed there. That campus has to be redone. And we are going to bring the best plan we can for the kids in the community. And I think that's kind of where we're at. But there will be a contiguous lot either way. There's a lot of room there. We're trying to keep as much green space as we can, which is also important to the board. And that's really the upgrade. And we'll get you all those bid specs as soon as they're available, coming forward.
Yeah, green space and heavy focus on getting the kids out of the building, that being the biggest thing.
Louis, then can I make a comment too?
Yes.
So that we can clarify the Meadowlands Environment Center thing. So I officially work at the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority, and the environmental programs are run by Ramapo. We are called the Meadowlands Environment Center. The check is being paid to the Ramapo College Foundation. There's no benefit to the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority, who I work for. So if I should abstain the vote, then my vote will be an abstention, so that it clarifies anything that might be misconstrued. Will that work?
Yes, just for the record, Ms. Bennett-Meany is clarifying that her vote was an abstention, Mr. Palladino, in that one case. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kenya Arroyabe, I'm sorry.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Kenya Arroyabe. I live at 181 Belleville Avenue. I just wanted to, I know I emailed Dr. Tomko and we kind of spoke back and forth about the shared bathroom situation. I know that he mentioned that this is something that's been happening for a while, but I think that it's different when it hits home, and that's why a lot of parents are showing more concern maybe as their kids are growing up. So I asked my kids if they felt comfortable. I have a high schooler, 2 middle schoolers, 2 elementary school children. They wouldn't feel comfortable changing in front of someone from an opposite sex. I mean, they barely feel comfortable changing in front of someone from the same sex because they're children, they're growing, they're all developing very differently. I don't send my kids to the bathroom of the same sex on their own. My 12-year-old boy goes to the female bathroom with me if my partner is not available or his dad isn't there to take him. So it's a safety concern. And I know you mentioned that there is a gender-neutral bathroom kind of area that can be used, but it's being, from what I got from the email, it basically means that if my daughter felt uncomfortable then changing in a bathroom where there possibly could be a male that identified as a female, then she would have to go use these bathrooms instead of it being, this is the girl's bathroom, this is the boy's bathroom, and whoever wants to identify as whatever they want to identify as uses this neutral single stall, gender neutral single stall bathroom or changing room. If it was to remain the same, how do you guys deal with if 5 students felt uncomfortable and needed to use that nurse's, whatever the bathroom is designated, how do you deal with time if they all use it at the same time? Like, do you understand what I mean by that? If they're late to class, the kids might not even want to do that. Like, my kids wouldn't want to be late to class. They don't want to be put on the spot. They don't want to. My son would probably not use the bathroom all day, because he's shy and doesn't want to stand out. The other thing I want to talk about is the science test scores. I spoke about it 2 meetings ago, and I know you guys are aware of how low they are. But I went to back to school night. My daughter's in 5th grade this year, so she'll be testing. And it's very nonchalant, very chill. It was like, science should be fun, and we're not going to have homework for science, really, because you should focus on math and English. And I have this sense of urgency that I don't see anyone else have, and that worries me. So I want to know what the plan is. And I know, Dr. Tomko, we've spoken, and we will meet at some point. But I would like to know what the plan is, and if there has been anything that's been done differently. Have teachers gotten new professional development? Are there interventionists addressing some of these things? Are there more instructional coaches to address some of these gaps in learning? I also have a question about the Renaissance that's used for benchmark assessments. I know they measure ELA 3 times a year. They measure math 3 times a year. What's used to measure science? That's my question for that. I also have a question about parent volunteers. I know since COVID and with all the safety situations that have been, or issues that have been going on, parents aren't really allowed in the building. I joined the PTA this year, or I was kind of part of it last year, but I'm a little bit more involved this year. And one of the biggest issues is that there's just not enough hands. And so is there a program in place where parents for the district can volunteer at their child's school and be fingerprinted and get background checks so that they have a badge, and all year round they can help with bulletin boards? They basically can serve as an extra hand, like a grade level volunteer that can help with the bulletin board, school activities, PTA fundraiser. They can be extra eyes in the cafeteria. There are many parents who are more than willing to do this. So how do we put a program in place, if there's not one already, that's going to allow for more parent involvement? Because at some point we have to be able to come together, the community with the school, because right now it's very separated in the sense of the safety issues and since COVID. So how do we, is there something in place to kind of bridge that gap? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
To the chair. Thank you. So you had a lot of different questions there. So let's start with the easy ones first, and then we'll get to the one that everybody's probably waiting for me to answer. So let's get to the easy one. So there is policy for individual parents who volunteer, to read across America and things like that. Now, every building has a basic background check system when you go in and you give your license. So That's not an extensive background check, but all of our volunteers that are with our students or with our programs for more than one day have to have a Identigo or FBI background check. So that's all of our paras, so any parent that is a volunteer. You mentioned cafeteria. We do have cafeteria aides or paras or parents that would help if they want to do that. They would have to be fully fingerprinted. You know, I don't really know of, we've never had any call or push for teachers asking parents for help with bulletin boards and stuff like that. I can ask the building principals if that occurs. If that's a need, we can definitely involve the HSA, PTA, OPE, PTO, all of those. We have all of them here. One of the things I get concerned with, I know some neighboring towns do fingerprint volunteers and whatnot for parents that are in and out of buildings as well. My concern is, let's say there's an event and there's a district that has that, right? You have to be fingerprinted to be in the building, and a parent's sick that day, and another parent who works, you know, and unfortunately maybe can't give his or her time is off that day and wants to help. If they're not fingerprinted, they can't get in the building. And I think a lot of these districts that do that and have strict policies on the fingerprinting, which is absolutely important, don't get me wrong, I think they really do probably break those policies a lot for those parents that, you know, that chip in. So I think it's working really well here. I will ask about the volunteers, though, for the classrooms. I think it's a good idea. So science scores, so I was a science teacher for a little bit back when I was a lot younger. You're out of time. That's it, thank you very much. Science obviously is extremely important. Osmosis is important, and those other things I always bring up. However, with a lot of the things that we're doing, there's direct correlation between reading and science and math and reading and stuff like that. So we are, and I think you see this a lot in different districts. Some of the like fifth grade science and whatnot. It's the correlation between those scores. You'll see the ELA scores and the science scores are pretty spot on. And math, you know, when some of us were growing up, before your time, but when I was growing up, you know, math was math. There wasn't a lot of reading in math. Now it's mostly, if you look at some of the stuff your kids are bringing home, it's mostly reading, right? So if you have a literacy issue, you also have a math literacy issue as well. So, you know, there's a lot of challenges in certain places in our district that I think Star Renaissance and all those things are going forward in identifying some of the students with interventionists. Our plan this year, and it's really not solidified yet, I need to talk to the curriculum committee a little bit, but I think what we're setting up for them is, you know, a mid-year assessment for science through STAR, well, not STAR, but sort of like STAR, and some homebound assessments that we utilize, and then we could use the actual scores, especially in the fifth grade, like you said, to see where we're at. So again, we were on the right track, then COVID did hurt us. I'm not making an excuse, but you know, we're getting there again. Our scores are very low as the aggregate, but we are working on those things as well. I think back to school night, I'm not disagreeing with you, what you said, but I think back to school night is a tough time to gauge, you know, how tenacious teachers are with some of this stuff. I mean, it's supposed to be a very, you know, get to know the teacher kind of thing, warm and fuzzy feeling, you know, so maybe another conversation with your individual teacher would be warranted, maybe. Right now, you want me to do that? I can, I guess. A score for science? Well, or Mr. President Munoz would like me to elaborate what makes up a score for one of these, you know. So there's a battery of test questions that get harder as they progress. You know, some tests actually give you, as you answer a question correctly, gives you a harder question. I don't know how much the NJSLA does that anymore, but it was supposed to be part of that. But I think that with the science part of it per se, you are looking at a lot of test specifications that have to do with certain units of things. I'll give you a great example. The second year I was here, we actually got together, and some of the principals in the back might remember this. There's a few that were here with me at the time. And we went over to the directory of test specs, and we saw that most of our students here got number 12 wrong, let's say, whatever it was. And that was on identifying different types of science apparatus. So a beaker, test tubes, a whole bunch of those things. So what we did was, in order to make sure next year that was taken care of, we used to set these displays up with what a beaker is, and beaker on top of it, made sure all the kids recognize that. And then it came in like domain 4, if you remember, like Danielson, all these things kind of incorporated. So most of your questions are, there's an analysis of small parts of data there. They may give you a volume, et cetera, some math calculations. So it all does incorporate into that. So unfortunately, that's one of the foundation is the math and the ELA. And that's why we're really working on that. And hopefully the RTI and MTSS will prove to be, really important in making those scores go up. But I will stress again to parents, when we keep talking about scores, I know it's important, I'm not naive, but it's the aggregate we're talking about, right? And there's students that still have stumbling blocks here. There's still students that are afraid to come to school. There are still kids that are having some social anxiety issues post-COVID. We're dealing with a lot of that here. I know people don't seem to think that's still happening, but it is. Our threat assessments are way up from 2019, 2020. Maybe we're identifying more of them, but there are a lot of students in need here. The big thing is your own child's growth, right? I mean, I always say I have 4 kids, and one of my children is the best reader in the family, and one of my children just is not the best reader in the family, right? But I expect them to have growth, and I think we need to maybe look at that a little bit too, which is what Star Renaissance does and this RTI process. If you go back to RTI a little bit, for those of you that might not be familiar with it, it's a good Google if you want to really get into the nuts and bolts. But students are placed on certain tiers for remediation or intervention purposes, and during COVID, every kid was automatically on a tier. It was like automatic, right? So that just finally leveled the playing field for everyone. So it took an epidemic or a pandemic to level the playing field a little bit, which is pretty interesting if you think about it, because there's so many other variables out there. And this indoor tutoring center, the CASA Center we're doing, that the board has been great supporting this, and we're using title monies for, and we're trying to get some corporate sponsors, is really going to help parents that just may not have the means to get their children remediation. So again, we can continue to talk about it. I love the dialogue. I mean, no one's disputing that our scores need to improve. We're doing the best we can, but we can always do more. Okay, so let's get into the bathroom thing just a little bit. Everything that we do in life, we have moral, ethical, and legal considerations for when we make decisions, especially as parents, right? So it's the same thing as an administrator, right? There's moral, ethical, and legal considerations. The legal considerations are simple. They're black and white, right? If there's a law that's passed, regardless if I agree with it or not, masking, all these things that were mandates from the government are things that I have to follow as an administrator. Again, whether you agree with it or not, that's the law. The ethical considerations are pretty simple for us too. As we sit up here on a dais, there is a school ethics code. There's actually 2 codes that these board members have to follow, that the administrators have to follow, and it's, again, black and white. Again, when you look at it a little differently, or you perceive it a little differently, that's where it gets twisted a little bit, but the code is there, so those 2 are easy. I think it's the moral implications that all of us deal with on a daily basis that kind of clouds some of that, right? Some people have one set of morals, other people have another set of morals, and neither of those is right or wrong. It's the way you were either brought up, or how you perceive things now, or how you morally are sound with what occurs in your own life, okay? So in order to accommodate all of those people, right, because as people get up and they don't like this, there's people that get up or don't get up and do like this for a lot of different things that we've talked about, especially in schools. And schools have always been the target of something. I can go back, I started in 1994. I was an administrator, a couple of years later in public schools, 99, and before that, earlier in private schools. And every year I can probably go down the list if I wanted to and talk about a topic, all the way from MRSA to all these things that you've heard, swine flu. There's a bunch of stuff that we were all set up for. And now for the past several years, there's nothing different. It's just a little bit more amplified now, I think because of the changing culture of society. So what we do is we make it easy for anyone, and we don't have a gender-neutral bathroom. We have a single bathroom, right, in most of our nurses' offices, and all of our nurses' offices are nurses' suites, so that if anyone wants to use that, they can. It doesn't have to be someone who is considered transgender or transitioning or whatever you want to call it. It could be your child that's not comfortable possibly going into a bathroom where there may be a student doing that. I will say that most of the students that are feeling that way or are reacting to those things, they are, they're not apt to always go into the opposite bathroom. I think people think there's this thing that all these students that are feeling this way are all of a sudden going to go into the other bathroom and cause different issues. There's been students here like this since I've been here, and nobody said a word. So what I'm saying is it's nothing new for us here. We've been dealing with it for many years. I think the parental responsibility, parental rights is a big issue now. And again, regardless of where you stand on there, it's fine. That's a moral issue for you. But the law is what the law is. I always say to a parent, if you don't feel your child should be in that bathroom, then let him or her use the nurse's room. If you go to the nurse's bathroom versus the other bathroom, you're still taking time out somewhere from class. So I think it's the same thing, and I think we're in an environment now where all the administrators, all of those individuals, if your child just says, listen, I don't feel comfortable using the bathroom with the gang stalls and the larger bathroom, I would like to use this bathroom instead, no one will say anything. And if they do, that's then a phone call to my office so I can take care of it. So that's how we're kind of dealing with it. So.
Dr. Tom, if I could just, from a legal standpoint, I mean, and this issue's been talked about in many of the districts where our firm serves. This is a hot button issue now, even though, like Dr. Tomko said, this has been going on for years, and these are the same phone calls that we've been receiving for years, but it hasn't been quite the national hot button issue that this has become, and we're seeing on cable news networks and everything else. But just to be clear, in New Jersey's law against discrimination, which has got more play than it's gotten in a long time recently because some of the lawsuits that were filed by the Attorney General's office, is the most all-encompassing anti-discrimination law in the country. That comes from the state legislature. That was signed years ago. For a period of time in the early 2000s, it felt like categories were being added to the law against discrimination to protect classes of people every month. I mean, I'm being sarcastic to some degree, but it was just lots of categories are included in our law against discrimination that other states may not have. And when you're talking about whether it's a genetic disability or service in the armed forces or marital status, I mean, these are the kinds of things that are protected in our law against discrimination. Someone who's transgender is also considered to be as protected as any other characteristic, whether it be race, color, creed, under that law. And so what we're dealing with is someone who's in that position is considered, under the law against discrimination, someone who's protected. And when you're protected, you're supposed to make sure that as a school district, as a company, as any entity, okay, it's become a real big thing in school districts, but this is true across the state, and that is that we have to treat everyone fairly. We have to be especially concerned about those who are protected. And if we were to, say, move someone because of their skin color or their religion or their status as someone who's changed sexes, let's say, okay, in those cases, we wouldn't be able to point that person out, to single them out. And so the compliance that this board is dealing with is a legal issue. It's a state law issue. And I think everyone admires at least the enthusiasm. There's real passion on all sides on these issues, but the reality is that you got to go to the state legislature to change those rules. As a school board, we are really hamstrung by those requirements. So I just want to make sure that was understood. And I know that this is new to a lot of people. This is the stuff that we deal with every day, but for you all, I understand it's top of mind.
Thank you for that elaboration. I really appreciate it. Dr. Liz Masaja?
Okay.
quick and easy. Okay, Liz Massagia, 285 Adelaide Street. I had the pleasure over the weekend to attend all kinds of things, from the football game Friday night and the baseball game over at Clearman, and Saturday a car wash at School 7, and where was I? Oh, and the Green Fair. Okay, I knew that was the reason I got up here. The Green Fair. What an awesome time. Every year I go, and they just seem to get bigger and better. And I think what really most impressed me was that I got to see board members out there. You guys are great. Erica, you were there. Frank, you were there. I thought I saw Dr. Tomko, but before I could turn around and say hello, he was off and running. So I don't know where he disappeared to, but hi from Saturday. But just, and Gabby, I love the cape. I couldn't pass it up. Sorry, Gab. But just, I mean, I know how hard you work, and I think you're on the green team, and you really work hard with them to put this event together, and it was really best yet. So above and beyond, I've never seen so many people there. I was there for the duration, the whole time. Parking was just a nightmare because it was so well attended, and you did an awesome job. So, I mean, I really just very highly commend you for what you do, and for everybody who goes out there and supports all of this, and the fact that the board is a part of the commitment to do this is just a wonderful thing. And I think all the things that we do, from, you know, I mean, there are people who complain about everything, but the barbecue, which I thought was a wonderful event back in August, and all the great things that we do for the community and for the kids. So it was a great event. I had a great time, and keep up the great work. And good night, everybody.
Thank you for your time. May I have a motion to close public participation?
Motion. Second.
Excuse me. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move on to board member reports. We're going to shoot from Mr. Trustee Velez, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's really great to see the community active, and just to piggyback off of Dr. Massage's comments, I just want to say thank you to Vice President Benemini and the entire Green team, whether it be municipal or school district, because the Green Fair was amazing. I saw so many people come out from all over the place, and it was really a unifying event. It was really a community event where you saw people just coming together for a great time, families, friends, just neighbors, and it was really just something to be all over. So I just want to thank Vice President Benemini, Diane Kelleher, and all of our district staff who worked so hard, and the vendors who were able to set up so quickly and really be so efficient with the tabling. So I just want to thank everybody. That was an amazing event, so thank you to everyone. In regards to operations, I just wanted to comment, we did have a meeting this last week, and we basically covered the middle school project, speaking about the bids and how the redevelopment process is going at the middle school, how playgrounds at every elementary school are complete, and how right now we are looking into possible revisions and alterations to the original middle school plan. I think that it's certainly important that, since the board did make this commitment, that we do work in an expedited fashion to really see what kind of scenario we could efficiently execute as a board so that we could deliver on our commitment to a truly 21st century middle school project. So I'm very excited to see that. I also want to talk about just overall the beautification efforts when it comes to operations. A lot of people have been commenting with the playgrounds and just the new windows and, you know, seeing more trees around. You know, the board is putting an emphasis not only on improving the academics, but we are looking at the exterior of our school district, because not many years ago it was, you know, not a great sight to see. And through the work of the referendum and through the work of the operations committee over the last few years, we have been making major investments into the physical aspects of our schools. And I really think it's something to, you know, be really, really proud of. And segueing into academics, I think it's great. I was looking over some notes from the curriculum committee and from Dr. Tomko and the administration, and I was comparing when it comes to advanced placement courses, because this is something that a lot of parents and a lot of students have spoken about over the last few years about the district's offerings. And just within 3 years, we have been able to really increase that number from just a handful to over 15 new AP courses being offered. I think that's extraordinary. Anyone who knows anything about AP classes know that they are a great opportunity for high school students to get college credit and really a college level educational offering in high school. So I think it's really tremendous that we're really investing into that program, and I look forward to the school district continuing to invest in that area. So I also wanted to congratulate Ms. Pascali on her achievement. Thank you. You've done a great job, and congratulations on the new job again. And I know you will continue to serve our school district well. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and I look forward to our next board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Velez. Trustee Jaco?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Frank, for giving the Operations Committee report, which I'm part of. I will start by saying congratulations to Ms. Pascali on winning the Amistad Award. Congratulations to the winners of the Young Writers USA Unsolved Mystery Writing Contest. It's always a pleasure to see our students and our teachers being proactive and succeeding. Congratulations to all the student athletes. Whether we win or lose, enjoy the journey and keep working hard, because hard work does pay off. Regarding parental rights, I just have a simple stance: be kind to one another. You hear that often, but that's as simple as I can make it. We met through the athletic committee with our president, Frank, and myself, with Mr. Mara and Dr. Tomko and our BA. And Mr. Mara reported that he is working diligently with our students, with our coaches, in support of their athletic success. It was a pleasure also being at the Green Fair, distributing some free supplies to our students in the community. I look forward to the pep rally and I look forward to the car wash September 23rd. I also look forward to that September 29th homecoming that was mentioned by our student. And welcome back to our school district. It's a pleasure to be back. I look forward to progress throughout the years. I wish students, teachers, our admins, our staff, our custodians, our lunch aides, our paras, all of you, a great year. Thank you for everything you do for our students, and I wish our students the best, and I look forward to their success. Thank you.
Trustee Darrow?
Thank you, President Muniz. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight, whether in person or if you're viewing it online. If you can believe it, we're already in the middle of the first month of school once again. We pray for great blessings upon all of our students and hope that this will be a great school year for everyone. Congratulations again to all who received awards tonight. I think most of them already left, but congratulations anyway to them. One thing that was said over here by Kenya, I believe, regarding getting parents to volunteer for anything. This has been something we've been trying to get going for many years, ever since I was the HSA president right here in the high school. It's very hard to get people to commit to anything, as you probably know. One of the goals I wanted to do when I was elected was to try to get better engagement between the parents and this board. And I hope that you could see some of that happening, more representation in some of the HSA, PTO, PTA meetings. I believe many of the members here go to those meetings. I know I go to the high school one, which hasn't started yet. But I think we definitely need to get more engagement between the parents that are out there and us on the board as well, just so we know and we can feel for where everybody's at and what people have questions on, so that we can potentially bring it back to the board if it's something that we can address. So yes, definitely need to get more parent engagement, and hoping that we can continue to move forward with that. We are excited to see what's going to come in this new school year, including our new sign language course, and what this can now open up for our students in the future. Just, I think, as Trustee Velez said, it's great to see so many things being enhanced. Even since my children were here, I think my younger son graduated in 2021, just to see the progress, I think, made with the courses being offered since that time till now is amazing, and I'm hoping to see more of it happen, including, though, we need to concentrate on our maths and our sciences and our as well. They're very important, so we don't want to forget that either with all the new courses being added here as well. Let's set our expectations for this year. We're going to go through some growing pains initially, as we know, and challenges will inevitably come up. We hopefully can address in a very short time, and we're not laboring that, or we're not finding out 4 months later there's a problem that we can, if it's brought back to this board and to our superintendent and administration staff, that it's nipped in the bud right away if possible. For the Finance Committee, I believe that Ms. Status may express some additional information we talked about and hope to see clarified in the future. But I do thank you all again for coming out tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. With that said, let's segue right to Trustee Dadders.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another school year. I'm going to start with the Finance Committee report first. We went over the bills list, and I had mentioned trying to consolidate some of our software for the district. I feel like we are so spread out with our technology. I would like to try and streamline some things to cut down on some costs. We are looking into that, and I want to do a software inventory to make sure we are utilizing everything that we pay for. Moving on. There are a lot of great things happening in district. I just want to highlight one of them. I want to mention that Belleville is partnering with Hockey in New Jersey. This is a free program. It is open to Belleville residents ages 6 through 18. Go to hockeyinnj.com for more information and to register. I want to touch quickly upon a comment that was made about the bathrooms. I feel like we are making the rules for the majority of the kids based on the minority of the kids, and yes, it is infuriating. I hear you. And I agree with you. Bathrooms and locker rooms should be a safe space for everybody. We are taking that away from these kids. We are supposed to be protecting these children, and we are failing them. Everyone can sugarcoat it all they want, but it doesn't make it right. And it works both ways, right? I have a friend who has a son in middle school, and he was in the bathroom, and a little girl walked in while he was going to the bathroom. He was mortified. Can you imagine what that did to a little boy? So yes, we're failing these children. I believe we have to do better, and make no mistake, I believe in love and acceptance for all. But I just don't agree with what's going on now. So thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for highlighting that. That's all I have. Everyone have a good night. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you. Trustee Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to acknowledge Hispanic Heritage Month, which began September 15th and ends October 15th. We take this time to celebrate the culture, influence, and history of individuals who are descendants of Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, Central, and South America. To kickstart this celebration, I had the pleasure of attending the Belleville PBA versus Puerto Rico baseball game at School 8, Claremont Field. It was such a great time. Next, congratulations to our BMS student winners of the Young Writers USA Unsolved Mystery Writing Contest. We're all aware of the abundant benefits of creative writing and how it allows us to express ourselves and communicate in various ways. Congratulations to Ms. Pascali, BHS Assistant Principal and winner of the Amistad Exemplary Award, sponsored by the Amistad Commission, New Jersey Department of Education. Thank you, Ms. Pascali, for all of your contributions to educating our youth. Robert A. Heinlein said, "A generation which ignores history has no past and no future." Thank you again to everyone for coming out this evening, and have a good night.
Thank you. Vice President Benemini?
Yes, thank you. Welcome back to school, everyone. Welcome back to school, teachers. Welcome back to school to our students. Welcome back, parents. So if you haven't had a back to school night and yours is coming up, I would urge all parents to please try to attend their back to school night. It's a great way to hear from your teachers firsthand what's expected from your child during the school year. So those schools that have already had it, that's terrific. I know some are still coming up. I'm going to try to be at number 5 school back to school night tomorrow, which brings me to another point which Erica wanted me to point out. There is a board liaison for every school in the district, so you should try to get your calendars for the home and school meetings and a back to school night, and if you could be there so that they can firsthand see you, so that yes, if they need to ask questions and they may not have gotten the answer from the first step, which should be their teachers or the school principals, then you're there to field out those questions as well. So definitely it's important. The Green Fair was Saturday. Thank you all very much, anyone who attended. It was a great time. I couldn't have done it without Diane Kelleher. She's like the event queen, guru. I mean, she does everything, and yes, as Dr. Masagia said, there is a cape. She got a cape for me. She's crazy. If you're hearing or listening, Mrs. Kelleher, thank you very much. For those of you who don't know, I was named New Jersey's Sustainable Hero by Sustainable New Jersey, and this was a really sweet way for the school district to acknowledge me. So thank you also, Dr. Tomko, for that. I know you must have had a hand in it. Thank you, board. So yeah, science is our passion, right? A lot of us, I know Dr. Masagia and our parent out here that's very concerned, and there are tremendous ways that we can enhance science in the schools. And I know that a lot of teachers are trying that, so kudos to them. It's not easy, right? Because the emphasis is definitely put on ELA and mathematics, but we cannot forget science and history, right? So yes, it was a great Saturday. There were great exhibitors there. They were, most of them were science-based and hands-on, which was very neat, because if you brought your kids over there, you got a great sense of some different things. There were shows, and there were other fun things to do. It's the 3rd annual one. It gets better and better. It's a collaboration between the municipality and the school district, and it's a very nice event. So can't wait until next year. That's really it for me. There are a lot of events coming up. I didn't take a list of all of them, so just continue to watch the district calendar and announcements in school and announcements through the township folks. So thank you all very much. Welcome back to school again, and have a great evening.
Thank you. So I guess I'll wrap up the night. I also want to welcome everybody back. Thank you, I want to thank our staff for welcoming me the other day to their orientation and their first day back to school. It was a great experience to sit in this auditorium and hear the conversations that went on and see what it's like from your perspective out. And I do appreciate the invitation and being allowed to be there. I want to also congratulate our award winners tonight and really just highlight real quick. I know we don't normally mention them, but I want to thank Mr. Sheridan and his mass comm students that are here. Thanks to them, this is streaming for you, and this is why everyone can see our meetings every month. So I just want to give them a quick shout out because I know they're not really mentioned that often. And then, you know, it's kind of tough being the last one to go because you're kind of repeating yourself, but I just want to reiterate a couple of things because I do hear this often, and that is there's an obvious disconnect between parents and the district. And you know, I just want to emphasize that there still is a lot of ways for us to communicate. I know that formal setting like this is what makes it easier for us to be more vocal and more public about the things that we speak about. But we do, I know I get tons of emails, and I know I answer my emails personally. I share my emails with Dr. Tomko, and more often than not, the emails that I'm getting are because someone needs help with something, and we're able to be that go-between for you to know exactly who to speak with directly. So, you know, I encourage everybody to continue to really reach out to us. Obviously, we can't, you know, be involved with personal things, but if you just give us an idea of where we can direct you, you know, for privacy reasons, we shouldn't, you know, you shouldn't spill your guts out and tell us everything, but you definitely let us know, hey, I need help in this area, and we will very quickly, you know, speak with Doc and speak with our staff to make sure that you're getting the help that you need. But that does, you know, with that said, you know, I just want to emphasize that, you know, also our meetings, like we mentioned before, our PTAs, our HSA meetings are very important. Parent involvement is vital to any district really functioning. So like we mentioned before, how Gabby mentioned that we have, you know, we have a trustee that shows up to the meetings. So that's also another opportunity. Obviously, we're there to listen in. If there's areas that we can elaborate on things, we will. If there are things that need to wait till a public setting like this, then we'll also advise you and let you know what, this is a topic that we're, you know, not ready to roll out a full conversation on, but just to let you know what, we are talking about this, we are having these discussions, and just, you know, hang tight a little bit and you'll see, you know, where we're going with this. I know Doc and I are hoping to roll out a couple things to help bridge the gap of things that we're actually doing. I can't tell you how many times I get approached and I'm told, hey, maybe we should do something like this, and then I'm like, well, we already do. We do this and we do that, and I think that that's where we all have the same frustration, maybe, where we're like, how can we be more vocal? I know one of the first things we did last year was up the budget for our marketing. That's why our community outreaches are so important, because we want to have more opportunities to be on the ground floor with you, hearing your ideas, you hearing ours, and then us actually being able to say, hey, you know what, we are doing these things. And, you know, most of the time we're right there with you. As you can see, we agree with a lot of the topics and a lot of the agendas and a lot of the directions that the community is looking for, and we're having the same conversations here in our private sessions, in our committee meetings. So I just want to let you guys know that we are with you. You know, it's important that you get your message across. Try to do it in a more formal way. You know, if you go on social media, you vent on social media, is a great way to vent, but unfortunately that's all you're really doing. You're venting. Unless you bring it to us in an official manner, until it gets to that point, that's when we can actually step in and get things done. So I hope that we can do that more. I'm definitely here at your service, and I know the rest of the board is as well. With that said, thank you all once again. I hope you all have a great night, and our students have a wonderful rest of the school year. Excuse me. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?